That means time for another live. Today, I want to talk to you about people pleasing and how it can show up in your business and create chaos and burnout for you. And I think it's really important that you take a look at this and see what is at play so that you can decide whether or not this is something showing up in your business, in your life, and what you can do about it. It not only shows up in your business, but it also stops people from even getting off the ground with their business. Okay. Now, for those of you who are new to the group, I'm a board certified hypnotist. I was in healthcare for 25 years before transitioning out of healthcare into a full time global hypnosis practice. And in the last 4.5 years, I have primarily worked with high achievers, people who are successful, and entrepreneurs. So, I mean, even people in corporate. This impacts every aspect of our life. But since this group is for entrepreneurs, we are going to talk about those aspects today. The bottom line of what I'm saying is that um, this topic of people pleasing and how it can be subtle, insidious, and invasive in our actions. Um, it's something that I have a lot of experience with in terms of working with clients. It's also something I've had to be very mindful of working with clients who are self professed people pleasers because I have to make sure that when we connect, that they're not telling me what they think I want to hear, that we're really getting to the issue. So, fortunately, being aware of this, I've gotten really good at selecting who is ready to really be in awareness of this and work through that. So, let's just dive right in here. People pleasing. There are many ways that people pleasing can show up in your business. And sometimes people may describe people pleasing as caretaking or being the fixer or just needing to take care of everyone. People describe it a lot of different ways. Now, there are many air fingers quote root causes of people pleasing. We don't have to discuss the individual root causes. And this is probably going to blow some of your minds because you see people out there all the time. When they talk about solving these problems, they talk about solving the actual root cause and they target on the root cause. Well, I target on the behavior because when you know how to do subconscious coaching and you're not making an assumption, a predetermined assumption about the cause, the root cause will reveal itself. Sometimes the root cause is a need for external validation. Sometimes the root cause is a need to be seen. Sometimes the root cause is that it is a deeply ingrained habit and pattern from the home we grew up in. Sometimes the root cause is a need to feel loved, accepted. You know, if I were to just focus on one aspect of that, I would be leaving a lot of people in the world not having their issue addressed. And it's what comes from being in a space where you can be very bespoke and individualized in an approach to someone with a behavior like people pleasing. And it's just one of many behaviors that shows up for people. It's one of the things that keeps us from saying yes to ourselves. It's one of the things that keeps us from being authentic because we feel like we're here to take care of other people. We take on this responsibility that is not ours. This is most definitely a behavior you do not want to bring into your business. I have worked with people who are trying to just make space and find the time to even start a business, all the way up to people in multi eight figures who have this behavior showing up in their business. So, what does it show up like? One of the common things that it will show up as, especially people who are newer in business and don't have the mentors that keep them honed in and focused on a streamlined approach, it will show up as trying to create many multiple offers. And yes, I have multiple offers, but my multiple offers all solve the same problem. In people pleasing, people create multiple offers trying to solve multiple problems, and everything is very scattered. It's chaotic. It doesn't seem to come together. A person who is a people pleaser will create a program, and then the first time someone says, well, I really don't like it like this, do you think you could do it like that, they will full stop and go back and alter their program to address that one person's concern. Now, if you're in business, you know that feedback from your clients is key. And if you're seeing a theme that something needs to be addressed, or there's a need that needs to be met, then yes, you do that. But the people pleaser will bend over backwards to make that one client, that one customer happy. And I'm not saying we shouldn't make people happy. What I'm saying is they will create the situation where maybe boundaries of the offer aren't being held, and they go way outside those boundaries to make this happen. There can be some other fears underlying the people pleasing, which we won't get into, but I want you to know that that is one example. Now, another example is you have an offer, you put it out there, you know that what you're doing to help people works, but these individuals who sign up, it could be a couple of different things. Either they signed up when they weren't ready, they signed up, they weren't committed, or, maybe in your languaging, you didn't clarify who it was a good fit for. And we're going to take these two things and we're going to separate them out. But say your messaging is clear, who it's for, who it's not for. And let's say somebody who wasn't a good fit opted in and bought your program anyway. So you have very clearly who your program is not for, who your coaching is not for, who your course is not for, and someone buys into it anyway. When we're a people pleaser, when that person starts having difficulty, there's this need we take on the responsibility that this person has to succeed, right? And we all know that we cannot eat for someone else. But when we're into people pleasing and we're just really attached to someone getting that result, we can reach out to them, see what they need, and even if they aren't showing up, we start to bend over backwards to try to make that happen. That is going to burn you out. It's one of the reasons that as I sit back and I've participated in many programs over the years, and I have to say, I've got one coach who I really admire because she is very strong about who she doesn't let in. And the reason why is she doesn't want to sell to people who aren't going to follow through. Now, does that mean that everybody 100% from day one comes in and they follow through in perfect order? No, life happens. We all have our challenges when it comes to mindset and triggers and confidence and all of these things. But she's very clear on who is a right fit for the program. So she puts the right people in the right place. I have also been in other programs where they mass sell. There is no qualification process. It's just about whoever comes in the door. and you can have someone come into the program that has no idea how to use basic tech. And in that same program, you'll have somebody who is an established business owner who knows all of these things. And you either end up speaking to one person or to the other person. And when you attempt to either take the middle road or go both, you're above or below um, someone's understanding. And it makes it difficult, right? So we can get ourselves into a position where we realize, man, I have to do something to fix this. And typically, what people tend to do is give more of themselves. And they get into huge over delivery. Yes, we should always deliver more um, than what we tell people we're going to deliver. However, there is a toxic level of it. There is a level of it that creates this burnout. It decreases your energy. It decreases your bandwidth, and it negatively impacts you. And if you have a team, it can also negatively impact your team and how they're showing up in the business. Now, here's the other thing. This people pleasing doesn't just show up in this situation, it also shows up in your relationships with your employees. I love being flexible with people who work with me. I love paying well, not the least I can get away with. Finding that line between paying well and not overpaying is important. And that's for each person to decide. However, and I did this before, and um, it's something that we have to be careful about. I have been in a situation where I wanted a schedule to be flexible enough that as long as the key tasks were getting done each day, it really didn't matter to me if they worked morning hours or afternoon hours, as long as those key tasks got done and that there was clear communication around these things getting done. The other piece of that was that there had to be days where we definitively met in person to discuss certain issues and to plan. And what I found happened was the flexibility that I offered in the schedule ended up becoming a situation where it was just assumed that on a day when we had a planned meeting that, oh, Penny will understand, and just wouldn't show up. And I would call and message and be like, oh, this happened and that happened, and I'm not going to be in today. And when these kinds of things happen, it throws off our schedule, right? As a CEO, as a business owner, however you choose to describe yourself, whatever level of business you're in, you have to have very clear boundaries and to have those roles set up. I think it's important to be a compassionate business owner, to be flexible, but we can definitely be too flexible. And when that happens, think back, if you were ever an employee, think back to being an employee. It's a very different mindset. When you're an employee, you're not thinking about the same things as when you're the business owner, right? And when I first started in business, one of the things that I gave into was that, and this was my choice, right? I wanted to be able to be flexible because working in healthcare, the rigidity of that schedule, there were many things I missed out on. There were many things I was unable to address because working in anesthesia, you just don't call out and take a sick day. Things have to be planned because there are no extra staff. It's a very tightly managed ratio of people who work and the number of bodies that are available um, to keep a business like that profitable. So I was wanting to be the good boss, right? I was wanting to be the good person that allowed that flexibility. And by being a little too relaxed, it was a form of people pleasing, right? It was a form of wanting to caretake my employees' needs. And it ended up being something that did not work out well. It was actually costing me to be that flexible. Lost time, lost opportunity. And of course, lost time and lost opportunity means it impacts cash flow, right? So when we're in this people pleasing, it impacts our boundaries. It can lead to chaos in our business. It can lead to burnout, overcommitment, overwhelm. But most importantly, when you're saying yes to everyone else, you are saying no to yourself. And this is where I see this come in with people wanting to start business, right? When we want to start a business, we have to have healthy boundaries around what's business and what's personal. Now, people talk about work life balance. That shit doesn't exist. What we have is these boundaries. We know what we're committed to, and that line, it moves based on the needs in the moment, based on your goals, based on what you've committed to. And people wanting to start new in business, usually have a full life, kids, a spouse. Maybe there's another job. Maybe there's volunteer work that happens, a lot of traveling. Sometimes we have to think about what we want to let go of to get to where we want to be. And that doesn't mean just black and white, give up a lot of things and say, oh, well, if I start a business, that means I can never go to my kids' games anymore. No, that's not what that means. We can have both and, but it's a matter of if you're sitting there telling yourself, I want to start a business, but I must do this, I must do that. Where is your thinking boxing you in and you're not seeing an opportunity that might be in front of you? Because sometimes the solution to our problem is right in front of us. And it's really not even a problem. It's the way that we're thinking about what's in front of us that creates a problem that's actually not even there. I worked with someone once who had similar issues going with the people pleasing. And once they actually gave themselves permission to say yes to themselves and to say yes to what they wanted, they actually realized that there were opportunities right under their nose to allow people to take on some of the responsibility. And it actually freed up a great deal of time in their life. And what they found was that in those important moments that mattered, because they allowed someone to come in and pick up the slack for them. They gave themselves permission to not have to do everything for everybody. Now, when they're in those important moments, they're very present. The quality over the quantity has gone up, and quality matters over quantity because quality of interactions, quality of relationships, the quality of how we serve, the quality of how we treat ourselves is what helps us to feel satisfied. It's what helps us to feel happy and connected and grounded in all of these things, right? When we're in business, I see a lot of people say that mindset doesn't matter. You need to have the strategy, you got to have the offer. Strategy is great, the offer is great. But the thing that sets the 1% apart from the 99% is the mindset. It's who we are being. It is our subconscious identity. And if you don't understand what I mean about subconscious identity, you've heard of the conscious mind and the subconscious is 95% running the show. Our subconscious identity is um, it's the frame of comparison that our subconscious mind uses to make decisions. The Max Planck Institute did a study, and when you're given a set of two choices, your subconscious mind processes that information and makes the decision 7 seconds before your conscious mind. So, if you really want to step into being the person who is not in fear, doubt, overwhelm, leaning towards burnout, then addressing the subconscious is key. Addressing your identity is key. If you notice that you lean into people pleasing, you're caretaking, you're fixing, you need external validation, if you need someone else to see you and to hear you to feel like you're worthy and loved, these things will show up in your business. They'll show up in your business decisions, the way you hire a team, the way you take on clients, the way that you serve clients, the way that you market, the scarcity, the lack mindset. All of these things are rolled into the identity. It's what creates that inner critic or the inner voice that will either cheer us on or tell us, oh, no, you can't do that. What are you thinking? You have to do this. You have to do that. And this inner voice talks us out of the one thing that we really want, because deep down inside, somewhere, there's a part of us that either believes it's not possible for us or we've been running a pattern that conflicts with what we want. Now, all of you have heard me talk about the mastermind. If you have questions for me, go ahead and drop those questions in the comments. I will circle back and I will answer those for you, because I'm running a little bit longer than I wanted to. I want to keep these videos shorter because I know everyone is time is a resource, right? You all know about the mastermind. I've talked about the mastermind before. Thrive the mastermind to help you be the person who can thrive as you grow your business to 7 figures and beyond. But this week, I have reopened enrollment into the Aligned Business Mentorship. And in the mentorship, there's curriculum, and it's all about the foundations of what you need to start a business. But it is a year-long mentorship where we can do the coaching, we can build the habits, we can dismantle the beliefs that allow you to actually be a business person. I've heard people say before, some people just aren't cut out to be business people. No, that's not true. Maybe you just haven't learned what's required in terms of identity. People will tell you, you have to be committed, you have to create new habits, you have to be focused, blah, 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 blah. Yes, those things are true, but we have to actively work to identify those patterns and to dismantle them underneath the surface. And I think that when people can recondition and retrain their brain to see business as a system, to know what those components are, and to get laser focused on that system, then we can spend 5 to 15% of our time focused on thinking about the system, and then the other 80 to 95% of the time focusing on who we need to be so that that system works. Because you can have the greatest offer in the world. You can absolutely have a no brainer offer that people would throw money at you every single day. But if you're busy saying yes to everybody else, you're saying no to yourself, and you don't have the energy or the mental capacity to show up, to let people know about your offer, to put yourself out there, to address the self-talk that says, oh, you can't do that. It's uncomfortable. What are you doing? That offer is going to sit there and nothing will ever happen with it. It'll go nowhere. It's all about who we're being. And it's not just not knowing about who we need to be, but how do we get there? And that's the benefit of having a subconscious expert on your side, because it's about more than the what and the who. It's about how do you get there? How do you open this up for yourself? Now, there's no formal sales page for the Aligned Business Mentorship. If you are interested in the mentorship on Facebook or on Instagram, for those of you here in the group, you can just comment the word aligned below. But on Facebook or Instagram or LinkedIn even, DM me the word aligned, and I will get you the details of the 12-month mentorship. I've updated the curriculum. We've built it out some more, keeping it simple and streamlined. But if you are at 5 to 10K months, but they're not consistent, maybe you haven't even made your first 5K yet, but you're in this game, you want a business, you want to be successful, you don't want to lose yourself, you don't want to be overwhelmed, burnout, then what I want you to do is I want you to DM me the word aligned and let me send you over the details of the mentorship. If you register before October 2nd, the new curriculum goes live October 3rd, Tuesday, October 3rd, after our new cohort kickoff call. Register by October 2nd, end of day. And I will give you a 10% discount off the enrollment fee. And I will give you 2 45-minute one-on-one strategy calls in the year. That is not a part of the program. This is a group program and mentorship. But if you enroll and you pay before end of business, October 2nd, you'll get 2 one-on-one calls with me over the next 12 months, and you'll save 10%. So comment, DM me aligned, drop your comments below. I'll answer your comments, answer all your questions. Let me know what you think. Is people pleasing something that is showing up in your life? And it may not always be obvious, but if you catch yourself saying yes to someone else and no to yourself, that's a clue that what you just did is a people pleasing, a fixer, a caretaker behavior. All right. I will see you all next week.